What is going on, guys? I am SceptileMC or George, the coach of your San Francisco Arcaniners, here to bring you my GBA Season 6 Finals Team Builder. That's right, guys, we made it to the finals. If you did not know, I'm assuming you all know because you're all watching this video, but we made it to the finals. We're facing Cooper and the Utah Jasmine, and prepping for this battle, I was incredibly nervous for it, and I was prepping non-stop for like a week, and I was just going through everything, going through his team, going through all my possible mons. And I was also checking on, you know how all the analysts post videos, and they were also making comments about my team. So I also looked at their comments because it's always good. That's like a second opinion right there, is you just get a second opinion. So I was looking what they said in their videos, and I was just going through it, and I devised a team that I think I'll be able to defeat Cooper's with. So Cooper's team is Greninja, Clefable, Mega Gallade, Staraptor, Gliscor, Empoleon, Magnezone, Claydol, Aggron, Weezing, and Sableye. So looking at his team, Greninja is a threatening Pokemon to my entire team. The only thing I have that outspeeds Greninja is, in fact, Mega Beedrill. Sceptile does not, in fact, outspeed Greninja. If it did, I probably would have brought it, but if I wanted to be able to reliably defeat Greninja with it, I would have had to run a Choice Scarf set, which I was really not trying to do. Clefable can be a problem, especially because the Unaware set can stop my Manaphy from sweeping, but we do have a clever way of dealing with that. Mega Gallade is an immense threat to my team, guys. Mega Gallade 2-hit KOs everything on my team except for defensive Forretress and defensive Manaphy, and then after rocks it still has a chance to 2-hit KO me. So if it gets up in SD, it actually outspeeds my whole team except for Sceptile and Mega Beedrill. I do have a decent amount of priority on my team, but still, Mega Gallade is pretty bulky, so I gotta watch out for that. Staraptor is another Pokemon that I'm for sure thinking he's gonna bring Clefable, Mega Gallade, Staraptor. I think he's gonna bring either Gliscor or the Claydol. Magnezone could come to trap the Forretress. Aggron can head smash everything if it wants to. Sableye I think is gonna come because he does love using Sableye. Weezing I think might come because Weezing is able to check my Mamoswine, which is a huge threat to his team. Basically, he can bring anything, and he can bring a set on it, and it could do work against me. Staraptor's a Pokemon that I can actually 2-hit KO everything on my team, especially if he's banded. If he's banded, he actually outspeeds the majority of my team, and then just OHKOs everything, except for defensive Forretress. But if he's banded, he 2-hit KOs me still, so not even really a switch in there. But if he is banded over Scarfed, then my Infernape outspeeds and my Electabuzz outspeeds, so I don't think he'll run banded. He'll probably go Scarfed, but the thing is that he could go banded, and you just always gotta prep for the unexpected. Yeah, that's pretty much what I think he's gonna bring, and this is what I decided to bring. So I started off with Electabuzz, and I was thinking of running a Choice Scarf set to outspeed Greninja and stuff like that, but I decided I would go Eviolite instead. I'm gonna run the ability Static because I don't need the Vital Spirit, and then I have an interesting set right here. I got Volt Switch, Toxic, HP Ice, and Magnet Rise. So I'm pretty confident that he's gonna either bring the Gliscor or the Claydol, because Volt Switching around his team is very dangerous for him, just because I have the likes of Manaphy, Infernape, and Gardevoir, and Mamoswine. I can Volt Switch around his team if he doesn't bring a ground type, and I can get in a threat, and I can just start blasting his team, because he doesn't have many answers to a lot of the things I have. So that's why I decided I would only bring my Volt Switch as my offensive move. Also, I'm almost confident that he's going to bring an Unaware Clefable over Magic Guard, because Unaware is the only thing he has to deal with my Manaphy if it sets up. And also, so I can get a Toxic off on that. I can Toxic the likes of the Claydol as well, and the Sableye. So that's why I have Toxic. I really feel he's going to bring Claydol versus me for some reason. I just have a feeling about that. Got HP Ice and Magnet Rise. So I have Magnet Rise mainly because my only ground type switch-in is Sceptile, and Sceptile's not a ground type switch-in, so if he brings the Gliscor and he brings it in, and then I'm able to get off a Magnet Rise, and all of a sudden he's like, well shit, now this Electabuzz is a huge problem for my team. Let me go out into like my Sableye or something, and then I Toxic, I Volt Switch out. So it's just to get in the initiative and force out the ground types that could be threatening me in the long run. So I didn't want to run a choice item, mainly because I didn't want to have to predict every single turn. Is he going to go in the ground type now? Is he going to stay in? Do I click HP Ice? HP Ice is too weak to hit anything else. I really want to click Volt Switch, but I can't because he has a ground type. So it just takes the mind games out of the equation. And then I have enough speed to outspeed, I believe, max speed base 100s, like the Staraptor. And the Eviolite is just so I can tank the occasional hit. So if I have to take a hit from Greninja and I can Volt Switch out, I can do that. I can take a hit from Clefable. I believe I can take one hit from Mega Gallade, and 1 hit from Staraptor if it's not banded. And if it's Brave Bird, I can actually take 2 Brave Birds, I'm pretty sure, so that's great for me. So that's that right there. Next up, we got Tarzan, the Infernape right here, and Infernape is just a fantastic Pokemon against this man's team. However, Cooper does like his confusion, and that's the main reason why I'm not running a fully physically offensive set. Also, I didn't want to run the Bandit set because he doesn't have a switch into Flare Blitz. No, he doesn't have a switch into Flare Blitz, that is true. However, he has ways that can wear me down, and I decided to go with a special set because I'm pretty confident that I can go for Fire Blast, and then I can OHKO any of his switch-ins to Fire Blast on my team. What I mean by that is, if he brings in Clefable, and it's a specially defensive Clefable, which I'm pretty confident is going to be, I can go for a Fire Blast, and then go for a Gunk Shot, and with the investment I have, I'm able to OHKO Clefable after that, after the Fire Blast damage, not OHKO completely. Empoleon dies to a close combat, and then I have the Vacuum Wave. The reason I have the Vacuum Wave is the Greninja is obviously a really good reason to run it, but as well as the Staraptor is probably going to be Choice Scarf, so I'm going to want to hit that with priority if I can, and I wanted to run the Mach Punch, but on the off chance he runs Intimidate, I would rather have the Vacuum Wave, and that's another reason why I decided to go Special. He has Intimidate, he has more physically defensive mons that can handle Infernape, and the fact that I can run Ape Mixed is just incredible. Now, I decided to run Naive Nature over Hasty Nature. The reason is because 1, confusion. I don't want to have I don't want to have a lower defensive stat if he's going to confuse me and I hit myself. I already have the Life Orb, I already have 60 investment in attack, I don't want to be taking any more. As well as the fact that the Staraptor could run the Quick Attack, and if it runs the Quick Attack, well, as well as the Gallade could run the Shadow Sneak. So if those two do have their priority moves, then I could have a problem with that. So I decided to run the Naive Nature instead of the Hasty Nature for that reason. Next up, we got Blue right here, the Manaphy, and Manaphy is a very interesting Pokemon, and since if it sweeps every single fucking team it has to face, you run Tail Glow and then 3 moves on this thing, and you just design the rest of the moves to do stuff. And I'm running max defensive instead of offensive, but I am still running Tail Glow, and I do have the Skill Swap. So what the Skill Swap does, it allows me to set up on the Clefable, and then just go for Skill Swap, take away his Unaware, and then what is he going to do to me then? So that's pretty clever on my part, in my opinion. I think it's pretty obvious, because it is probably obvious, but there's nothing he can do about it. He either runs the Unaware Clefable, or he doesn't have a counter to Manaphy. His only way of dealing with Manaphy, then, is if the Greninja can take me out, the Gallade can take me out, or the Staraptor can take me out, because those are the only things that outspeed. I do see him bring a Choice Scarf Magnezone as well, just because it outspeeds and OHKOs me. But I believe with max HP, I can survive 1 hit off a Choice Scarf Magnezone. So got the Energy Ball and the Scald as well, because I'm more of a defensive spread. I decided to run Scald over Surf this time, and the Energy Ball is to hit the likes of the Greninja and the Empoleon, which the Scald cannot hit. I got 28 investment in speed, just so I can outspeed at max speed Timid Empoleon, because if he wants to bring that for Grass Knotting me, in case I was max bulky, he can't do that, which is good. And then max defense. Why do I have max defense? Because I don't believe I'm going to be able to outspeed the Staraptor. I don't believe I'll be able to outspeed the Mega Gallade. I don't believe I'll be able to outspeed the Greninja. And I don't believe I'll be able to outspeed the Magnezone if he brings it. And those are the only Pokemon that I think he'll bring to offensively check me. And the defensive checks are non-existent. So everything else on his team I outspeed with this set. And I don't think Gliscor will be an offensive spread. I don't see him. If he does bring Gliscor, it's not going to be an offensive spread in the slightest of bits. So, yeah, that's why I decided to bring a max defensive set. I have 0 IVs in attack and the Bold Nature, just so in case he wants to bring Confusion to try to deal with this thing, then he's going to have a problem with that. Next up, we got Kaguya right here, the Gardevoir with the Assault Vest. The Trace ability. Trace is really good in this battle. The reason Trace is really good is if he decides to bring the Unaware Clefable and it starts going for Calm Minds, I can switch into my Gardevoir and just completely ignore the Calm Mind boosts, as well as if the Staraptor is in fact an Intimidate spread, I am able to Intimidate it. I do trace the Levitate off the Claydol, trace the Magnet Pull on the Magnezone. What else? I can trace the Toxic Heal or the Poison Heal on the Gliscor if I get poisoned. I can trace Prankster, even though I'm not a Prankster set. I can trace Prankster on the Sableye if I really want to. I can trace Sturdy from Aggron. I can trace Levitate from the Weezing. So there's a lot of things I can trace here, which is really good for me. It's why I decided to run that over Synchronize. And then I decided to run a Soulfest. So this is my special tank. I was thinking about it, and I wanted to run the Gardevoir just because of the matchup it had against his team. Literally, with the set I have with the Moonblast, the Side Shock, and the T-Bolt coverage, I am able to hit everything for either super effective or really strong neutral damage. And then you guys see the Future Sight. So the reason I have the Future Sight is this thing's going to come in on the Sableye, and against the Sableye, this thing clicks the Future Sight 10 times out of 10 in my opinion, just because he's not going to stay in. He's going to go into something like Empoleon or whatever, or the Claydol if especially defensive, Clefable, and then I click the Future Sight, and then he's like, well shit, how, I need to switch in my Sableye or my Greninja now to take the Future Sight so I don't lose a Pokemon, but I just click Moonblast then or T-Bolt, and that goes down. So it just puts a lot of pressure on his team, and it makes him really think about his switches a little bit more than it originally would. Also, come on, Future Sight's really goddamn cool. So let's just get that. So next up, we got Shed Shell Defensive Forretress right here. So I got max defense on my Forretress. Of course, main reason is for the Mega Gallade and the Staraptor, as well as the Aggron if he wants to bring that. Close Combat is not a 2-hit KO, and a Choice Scarfed Brave Bird is not a 2-hit KO. Abandoned Brave Bird is, and +2 will do a lot of damage to me, but Gyro Ball is there for a reason, obviously. It does a lot of damage to my Gallade. It does about 40 to 50%, and Staraptor, it does like 70% too, I believe. Got the Volt Switch, so I can Volt Switch around his team if it comes down to it, if he doesn't bring a ground type. I got my Stealth Rocks, so I can get on my rocks so that I can sweep with Manaphy in the late game / put everything into priority range of my Vacuum Wave. And then I got Earthquake. So I have Earthquake mainly for the Magnezone, as well as just in general, I can hit the Aggron as well, so I don't have to Volt Switch around. He goes for Rock Polish, because I know he does like Rock Polish. Aggron, I can just go for an Earthquake instead and just take that thing out immediately. And also, just with this, it's the most reliable spread. His special hitters aren't too prominent on his team. I'm not really too worried about them. I'm not taking special hits from Magnezone anyway, because he's just going to run HP Fire or just T-Bolt me, to be honest. And Empoleon, I don't want to take Scalds, so I'm going to leave that up to my Gardevoir and have my Forretress take the defensive hits alongside a Manaphy. Although Manaphy's not really tanking the hits, it's more like you can tank the hits so you can still sweep, not so I can switch it in on the hits. And last but not least, I got my Mega Beedrill here. So I was really torn on the last mod. It brought me up until well, the last day of the battle, actually, which is today. And I decided on Mega Beedrill over Mamoswine and the Nidoqueen. So I was looking at Mamoswine and Nidoqueen mainly because of their priority options, and the Ice Shard from Mamoswine is fantastic. However, if he brings a bulk up Gallade, I straight up lose this game. For I do not have a Pokemon that outspeeds him on this team, and after +1, if he has bulk up and Drain Punch, I just lose. So I decided I would not go for priority on this game. I would instead go for raw speed, which I haven't done very often actually in this season. I haven't brought Mega Beedrill too often, but I'm really hoping that with Mega Beedrill, I'm able to outspeed the Greninja. I'm able to Oko Greninja, Clefable, Staraptor, Mega Gallade, Gliscor I U-turn out of, as well as with this Pokemon, it's not. I'll be getting a lot of momentum with Mega Beedrill because it's a very centralizing Pokemon in the sense of there aren't a lot of Pokemon that are able to actually tank the hit, and there's very limited switch-ins, which is great because it is U-turn. It is adapted. This is one of the strongest U-turns in the game, if not the strongest U-turn in the game, and I'm able to. So if it switches the Weezing, U-turn out, and I go into Gardevoir. If the switch-in is the Gliscor, U-turn out, and go into Manaphy. If the switch-in is, for some reason, Magnezone, U-turn out, go into Infernape. So I'll be able to click U-turn a lot here, as well as if he has a Choice Scarf Pokemon. That's why I have the Protect. His team's relatively slow, so I'm not too sure. If I bring it in on the right Pokemon, I'm not even going to have to click Protect in order to Mega Evolve. So I got that for that reason, in case I need it. In case, like, in the late game, it's like the Mega Gallade and the Staraptor versus my Mega Beedrill, and I have to click Protect against them, I will. And then I got the knockoff over the Drill Run. The reason I don't have a Drill Run is because Weezing and Gliscor are two Pokemon that can be very threatening to my team if they're able to either pass around burns a lot, or if they're able to get their recovery. Now, the Gliscor gets its recovery in the form of Toxic Heal, Poison Heal, Toxic Orb, Poison Heal, and I can possibly knock that off early on, as well as I can knock off things like the Sableye's item, Aggron. If I knock off its item, I can go for Vacuum Wave. Also, I don't really need the Drill Run because my Mega Beedrill isn't really my counter to the Aggron. My counter to Aggron is honestly my Manaphy, which for sure outspeeds a max speed set, and the Vacuum Wave on my Infernape. So that's why I don't have the Drill Run there. Don't really need the coverage. It'd be nice to have, but I honestly don't really need it. As well as the fact that the Magnezone and the Empoleon, yes, are there, but I U-turn out and I go into Infernape for both those Pokemon. So I'm more just using this thing for the momentum and to knock off items when I see fit. And I got enough speed to outspeed a timid Greninja here. And yeah, guys, so this is the team I decided to bring against the Utah Jasmine in the finals of the GBA. So we made it to the finals 2 seasons in a row, guys. We lost last season, and now we're going into this season with our head held high. We were the runner-ups, and now it is our turn to shine. I really think we can do it. We do have a pretty decent matchup against this guy. The only concern I have is that Mega Gallade, the Staraptor, and maybe Greninja. His offensive threats are very threatening to my team. And that's why I decided on the Mega Beedrill, because I don't want to have to rely on priority when he just sets up a bulk up and I lose the game to Mega Gallade. So that's why I decided to bring the team I brought, guys. So if you didn't, in fact, enjoy the video, I'd really appreciate it if you did leave a like, rating, a comment, if you think I'm going to win, if you thought my prep was good, etc. Or subscribed. And guys, I am SceptileMC or George, the coach of your San Francisco Arcaniners, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace!